3 months in office of the Commissioner for Enterprise at the State Fiscal Service of Ukraine. When this institution was established and I started to work.
First of all, I would like to mention that this institution has been working on public, on volunteer basis. That's why during the first period of my activity, we wish to distinguish the objectives, activities, and measures to carry out this mission efficiently. I also would like to mention that currently we hear many discussions about similar ombudsman positions in different sectors like energy sector, like agriculture sector, which shows that for business these positions are of huge importance. We received more than 300 complaints from businesses. This function is very popular, and despite the fact that almost all the sectors, all the enterprises of different forms of ownership, they have issues with the fiscal service. All of those issues are of typical nature. Many problems between fiscal service and enterprises are of technical origin. They are more or less related to the register of VAT invoices. They are about electronic register of taxpayers, and also the issue about electronic keys for financial reporting, tax reporting. All these are technical issues related to the purely automated systems used by the State Fiscal Service. The intensity of changes and the technical level of or better to say, a level of technical solutions available in the State Fiscal Service, quite often they raise all those problems which I mentioned. Of course, the State Fiscal Service tries to resolve these technical issues on operational basis, but sometimes there are some systemic problems which results in very complicated individual situations which require serious solutions. For example, the cancellation of certificate of VAT payer made this issue very important. The number of appeals shows that this really became a problem on one hand. On the other hand, that we should considerably improve this reporting on the framework of the fiscal service reform. At the same time, civic activists insist on strengthening of the administrative on the electronic administration of taxes, and this is reflected into current legislation. But nevertheless, this electronic administration of taxes becomes a big trouble for enterprises without technical updating. And by the way, my time and time of business enterprises and fiscal service will need to devote many time to resolving this technical problems related to computer administration of taxes. That is, I would like to point out to the importance of this issue, and we expect to have next year the tax reform, and we have an intention to make automatic all the tax administration, and this will be quite an issue. Another big pile of complaints contained complaints about tax inspections and all sorts of other inspections. For example, accrual of tax obligations, and besides cumbersome administrative procedures, besides cumbersome procedure of administrative appeal, court appeal, etc. The enterprises need to waste a lot of their time and money because of illogical statements made in the statement about inspection. Quite often, the mistakes made in final documents on the inspection are so much absurd that could be easily resolved at the stage of administrative appeal. For example, the law which came to force on January 1st is applied to facts which happened in the previous year. This is absolutely incorrect, or there is a discretionary interpretation of the civil code by fiscal authorities. This results in logical mistakes, and in our work we try to draw attention to all these issues and to resolve the issue in favor of a taxpayer. On the other hand, the state fiscal service should should pay attention at the fact that a huge amount of appeals about laws are based on the results of the audits, and these problems could be resolved in course of institutional changes in the state fiscal changes, fiscal service. So we believe that this function will be centralized and the quality of the audit will be improved. The systemic nature of this problem is not due to the tax code, not due to the procedures, but based on the logical mistakes made by inspectors themselves. And in reality,
we should talk about the things that on the one hand, talking about the systemic appeals complaints, it was administrative complaint resolution procedure in my presence or presence of ombudsman. The hearings, the trials of complaints were more fair, and the complaints then are prevented both from both sides, entrepreneurs and tax service. As far as I know, the Ministry of Finance in the framework of reforming shall address the complaint trial process with just such methods of inviting observers to take part in the meetings when complaints are resolved and tried and resolved. The number of complaints is rather intensive, but efficiency is low because complaints resolution procedure where petitions were considered or hearings took place in October, they still have not been finalized because the procedure is rather long. And the cases where complaints have been addressed and the proceedings have been finalized, we can see that the proceedings got positive results. There are some administrative decisions. The administrative aspect includes that there were many petitions relating to the state fiscal service rejections. They find some small violations which give them the opportunity to reject, to return VAT when once a petition to return VAT was rejected due to violation amounting to 1 hryvnia. This administrative problem should be eliminated through the new administrative system, new system of administering complaints, and all the stakeholders in reforms say that the issue of VAT repay should be automatic and it could not be administered by fiscal service staff. There are also alternative proposals which have been submitted. There is also another fiscal aspect. The majority of entities which filed complaints about lack of repay of VAT to them, that they haven't received VAT amounts. This state fiscal service provides statistics that they have increased significantly the amounts of returned VAT. As for me, it is important not at macro economic level. Not statistics is important. There are signs which demonstrate that we have success in repayments that have been made, repayment of VAT on the part of the state fiscal service to entrepreneurs who have the right, who are entitled to such repayments. And as concern full recovery of VAT debts which the state fiscal service have before entrepreneurs, we hope that if it would be resolved at least by 90%. As concerned criminal proceedings, there are also complaints upon the findings of inspection. the administrative proceedings could result in criminal proceedings initiation. We are on the way of seeking some solutions to such cases, to find criteria to initiate or close criminal proceedings in those cases where appeals have been filed, when there were cases when the criminal proceedings have been terminated. Such positive cases we know, but the problem remains a systemic one, since this function is not inherent to any business entity, and it is not my inherent function, and it is not the function of any sectoral body, professional body. Let's hope that the tax reform will address this issue and in some way. And finally, I would like to say about the petitions concerning customs activities. In contrast to petitions and complaints against tax service, the customs service counted for far lower number of complaints. The problem is systemic because in 2 or 3 days after the resolution came into force, there were several cases of procrastination with customs clearance for 5 to 6 hours, but the resolution in general has not resulted in any delays with customs clearance at the borders, customs borders. There is a problem of identifying the value of goods, the customs value, and attention is paid to such controversies which concern either the lack of information or inflexible regulation of customs activities. This could be also attributable to some changes at the marketplace, which causes suspicions that the prices are not true ones, are not market prices. So the reform of customs service also should move forward, because in some cases on ad hoc basis there were successful practices when the contract prices remain as they are because additional information was supplied concerning the market prices, and some sectoral information exchange should be maintained between the customs service and the sectors, economic sectors. So this is not a new way, but this way could be the only one to address the problems in the customs area. The lion's share of the problems, 80% of the problems are of technical nature. They are related to the activities of our fiscal service, which is in the process of transition, and also which some problems are attributable to the operation of the computerized information system of the state fiscal service. So I hope that the next year will be more successful, but it will be very important from this perspective, and we shall continue dialogue on reforming the state fiscal service. Very many matters shall be lifted due to the dialogue with the industries and the wide business associations such as the US Chamber and associations of fishery products and IT industry associations and other associations, and I am now facilitating, and I will be facilitating the sectoral dialogue, because most of problems can be resolved just through the dialogue. And in general, I think that in the cases where more open dialogue is initiated, we can resolve all the complaints which I receive.
When we speak about systemic problems, the majority of them could be resolved based on the tax reform. I believe that next several weeks will be crucial in developing this reform, and my role here will be to bring the major problems of businesses to the attention to the cabinet legislators, to the attention of the parliamentary tax committee, and to the attention of Verkhovna Rada. This will be our action plan for December, and I encourage you to join our work and follow closely work of Fiscal Service, Budgetary Financial Committee of Verkhovna Rada, and to support our reforming work. Nevertheless, we gradually move forward, and despite all the deficiencies in work of the fiscal service, in the work of courts, taxpayers manage to enjoy their rights and to find remedies in courts and to restore justice in all the aspects. And I believe that the Institute of Commissioner for Enterprise on the State Fiscal Service is an important role which will allow us to establish necessary institutional practice, able to remove many existent problems in this area. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.